Right, so second part of today's work is to do with that stuff about how if you have two things that are multiplied together and your answer is 0, then that means at least one of those things has to be 0. Because think about it, if A multiplied by B gives you 0, then either A has to be 0 or B has to be 0. It's not possible for one of them not to be 0. I've said 0 too many times, right? But it's true. If you now both of them, they could both be 0. So like 0 multiplied by 0 would give you 0. Or 7 multiplied by 0 gives you 0, or 0 multiplied by 15 million gives you 0. So hopefully you're getting my point here. So we're going to do a couple of little bits of work on that and really show you how that we would set stuff out on that. Okay, so page 94 in your notes. When we consider the product of two factors, and that's just two things multiplying together to give you something. So the thing that you get is the product, and the two things multiplying together are the two factors. If one or both of the factors are 0, so if one or both of the things you're multiplying together are 0, so is the product. So the answer is 0. Now this here would be the general rule for that. So if A multiplied by B gives you 0, then either A equals 0, B equals 0, or both of them equal 0. So we need to make sure that we remember that, because it is an easy thing to forget. Now, there's a couple of examples on this. Pardon me. So find the value of A and B if A multiplied by B plus 4 equals 0. So A multiplied by B plus 4 equals 0. Then the way that we would write this out, we would say either A equals 0 or B plus 4 equals 0. Does that make sense? Because if this is one term, this technically, I know terms are separated by pluses and minuses, but because this is in a bracket, we would consider this all one thing. So we have two things multiplying together and our answer is 0. So we've got A, and that's getting multiplied by B plus 4, giving us 0. So that must mean that either this thing or this thing is 0. So either A is 0 or B plus 4 is 0. And then we would need to make sure that we went on and solved that to say what B would be. So we would take 4 away from both sides, and we would end up with B equals minus 4. So A is 0, B is minus 4. And I probably should have emphasized the or there, okay? And that it could be both. It could be that both A is 0 and B is minus 4, but at least one of those things has to be true, okay? So example 2, find the value of x if x plus 2 multiplied by x minus 3 equals 0. So x plus 2, x minus 3 equals 0. Then we know that either x plus 2 equals 0 or x minus 3 equals 0. Because we've got two things, we've got this bracket and we've got this bracket. They're multiplying together and giving us 0. So at least one of those things has to be 0. So either the contents of this bracket are equal to 0, or the contents of this bracket are equal to 0. And that's all I've written down here. Then we would solve both sides of this. So if x plus 2 equals 0, take away 2 from both sides and you get x equals minus 2. Or x minus 3 is 0, add 3 to both sides to get x on its own, x equals 3. So that would be our answer to that question. So either x equals minus 2 or x equals minus 3. Now, if you think back to what I had said in that last video that hopefully you have just watched, do you remember I was saying this, where if we have something that is in this form, where it's two brackets here that are multiplied together. They really are just a quadratic expression factorized. So what we have just done here, we have just solved a factorized quadratic expression. So if we expand the left hand side of this here, it gives us this quadratic expression. So if we did FOIL on this, it would give us this one here, which is a quadratic equation. Therefore, we have just learnt how to solve a quadratic equation when it has been factorized. Okay. Now, I'm going to leave it there for now because I do want you to do some questions just on this kind of stuff, seeing what two things multiplied together to give you 0 and getting used to solving things and writing them like this. So these here are the questions that you're going to be doing. Now, honestly, 15 to 20 are most like the ones that we have just been looking at here. So I don't want you getting confused on these first ones. So make sure you read the information here. So in questions 7 to 12, find if possible the value or values of A. And remember, if A multiplied by 0 was 0, then A can have any other value. So I'm totally going to give you some of the answers here. But if A multiplied by 6 gives you 0, then A must be 0. Whereas in something like question 10, 0 multiplied by A gives you 0. Well, A could be 0, but it could be any other number in the world. Okay, so these ones are a little bit more abstract questions, whereas these ones here are more like the examples that we have just done. Okay, so work your way through those. Again, I'm going to list what questions they are in the stream, and let me know if you need any help. I'll be waiting here. Bye.